Hello, everyone, and I am back with my mom, Becky Sharon, and she is a brain health coach, and we are doing the 5 steps to getting anything you want. Now, Mom, last week when we recorded step 1, people have been like asking me for step 2.
Oh, well, you got me back on, so I'm thinking I probably ought to share it,
I
right?
think so. Can you remind us what step 1 is? And then, well, first, let me back up. So, just to remind people, you are a brain health coach. And what exactly does that mean?
So a brain health coach is, what I focus on is the health of our brain, because you know how healthy your brain is?
It's super healthy.
And how do you know?
Well, if people follow me, they know you put that thing on my head and checked
That's
it.
right. So we looked at your brain, didn't we? We
Yeah,
mapped it, we measured it. And
right.
that's one way to determine if you have a healthy brain. But unfortunately, we go to the doctor and we don't know if we have a healthy brain.
Yeah, because they don't
And
really check it. They only check like your body. That's weird,
right,
actually, now that we're talking about it.
that's right, right? It is
Yeah,
really, because your brain is everything,
I know.
you
It's like
know.
the main control system, right?
It is, because it connects your whole central nervous system. So it's what has your body operate when you're sleeping. It's
Mm-hmm.
where all our memories and beliefs are stored. And if we have an issue in any part of our body, it affects our brain,
Right.
you know,
Or
because
our
it's our
brain.
brain.
I'm reading
Huh?
this book, and it's talking about how like people can heal themselves through their brain. So like if they had like an ailment or something like that, like they can do that like just with their brain. It's crazy.
It is. And that's Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I love him.
Yes,
And
that's
he
exactly what
actually
it is.
he's a neurosurgeon. He
Right.
healed himself from a bicycle accident where he couldn't walk, and they told him he would never walk, and he refused surgery, and he actually visualized every single day what it was like to heal his spine. And every time he had any doubt, he
Yeah.
would start over in the visualization. And it speaks to step 1 to getting everything you want.
Yeah.
Step 1, if you remember, is know what you want. Like,
Right.
know what you want.
Like clearly what
So
you want. Well, the thing too
clearly,
that I like about that we talked about and that this book talks about, it's not like visualize it and it'll come true, like visualize a parking spot. It's more like you said, like more scientific than that. Like he's a neurosurgeon, like you're a brain health coach, like you can literally like measure it. Because I remember when we had the cap on my head, you were like, I forget, I like blinked my eye, like you couldn't see me, but I like blinked or something, and like you could see it. It's
yes.
crazy. Like the scientific part of it to me is way more interesting than that woo woo type stuff.
Right. And there is they know so much, and there's so much to know about
Right.
the brain, but what you're speaking about is brain mapping, and that's part of neurofeedback. We
Okay.
map the brain, we put you call it a helmet. It was a cloth cap that has 19 places or electrode areas, and we measure the electricity that comes out of your brain. They're called brain waves. All right, we
Cool.
measure them, and we then scientifically quantitative analysis. So statistics. We take what we get out of that, the energy, the numbers we get from that,
Uh-huh.
and translate it to see how your brain relates to people in your same age, so
Okay.
that are considered normal or normative. They don't have any diagnosable diseases.
Like brain.
Okay.
So what happens to your brain when you're like going through these steps of getting what you want? Like what is there something that happens in your brain that changes?
Yes.
What is
So
it?
you have all these, you picture brain,
Tell us.
all these little nooks and crannies, right?
Okay.
It almost looks like a walnut, if you can picture a walnut, right? And then in the middle of the walnut, there's this line. So you have a right hemisphere and a left hemisphere.
Right.
Well, believe it or not, what we think creates this electricity in our brain. And you can measure that. So
Oh,
when you
that's the brain
think,
waves.
brainwaves, correct.
Okay.
And brainwaves come in different hertz. They call them hertz,
Okay.
which is measures of volume, basically, of energy that comes out of
Okay.
the brain. It's just the way they measure it. Okay. So
Okay.
it creates a consistency. But you've heard of things like, oh, alpha waves for meditation. If I get in an alpha
Right.
state,
So
that's a
that's like a
type of
different
wave.
hertz.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a speed of circulation. It's a speed of the
So
wave.
can you tell if somebody follows like these 5 steps and they create this thing that they want? And if you measured them before they did that and then after they did that, could you literally see it?
So what I'm going to say to you is you couldn't literally see it, but
Yeah.
what you see, even if you were hooked up, I mean, you couldn't see it unless you were hooked up. And they have, we do a 19 electrode. That's kind of common. If you were doing brain surgery, it's called Brodmann's map. There is a person this is named after, and it's Brodmann, Dr. Brodmann, and Dr. Brodmann measured different areas of the brain, and he marked them, and now they can be identified. And you can even look it up, Brodmann's map, and it will show you a picture of different areas of your brain. So for example, you've heard of the hippocampus.
Yes.
And the
That's like the main
hippocampus is
center.
where memory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, where memory is. It's where you're at. So it's like your memory command center, right?
Yeah.
And so we can see it like that. We know where it is. We know that it's connected to other networks. There are networks in our brain.
So there's not like a space when you're very connected with an idea or a thought that would change hertz or something? I don't know.
There is.
Okay.
And what I think it is, it's like we've been doing, it shows up in focus and concentration and the ability to do what you want to do versus distraction and frustration and upset. Okay.
Wow.
Because when we are frustrated or upset, what happens is our brain doesn't.
Mine like shuts down.
Yeah, it's exactly. I was going to say it slows down. It may slow down in a particular area. I see it a lot when I train people when they're having anxiety, and I do neurofeedback and train them. When they think happy thoughts and they're playing a game, they win this game. It's incredible. Like we play this game where a jar and these bubbles, they're called brain bubbles, come into the jar. And when they get 25 bubbles, they get a trophy.
Ooh.
And it's a video game, right? And so when they train and they're doing this, they'll think something happy, and the bubbles are just coming like this, and they don't believe that they're doing it when they first do it. So then they think of something that makes them not happy, and not only do the bubbles not come in, when they do, they were blue, now they're red, and they basically take one of the blue ones with them and get out of the jar. So they lose all their bubbles.
That's so weird.
Right. And then they're just shocked because they go, you didn't know what I was thinking. So you didn't know when I wasn't thinking that. And it was responding because they have a different kind of helmet on. And it's just crazy how.
So that's like a visual representation of this process. That's weird.
Yes.
That's so
it's amazing.
Well, we kind of got off track. I'm sorry. That was super interesting. So like, of the 5 steps of getting anything you want, step 1 is know what you want.
With excitement, enthusiasm, and clarity. And this is when we talked about when you were paying off your 2 homes and you moved into the hood with the rat, with your roommate, the rat.
Right.
We don't talk about
hood rat. Yeah, the hood rat.
So
step number 2
is get clear on what you don't want.
Oh, but wouldn't that make negative?
Well, you first have to know, because do you ever have negative thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Those are easy.
And how do they feel?
I mean, like, depends on the thought. Like, but if it's like anger, sadness, something like that. But I actually, you know what? I'm thinking now that there is times that if it's negative, it actually becomes clearer. Like if it's something that I'm working on, it's like I don't want that. It's like, oh, good. Now I know I don't want that. So anytime I see that, I can be like, I don't want that. Is that kind of like what you're
Right.
saying? Okay.
That's exactly right. And it's like the little hint of the third step, but the first step of knowing exactly what you want and knowing how it feels. Because we think it's thoughts create feelings,
Yeah.
but it's really the way we feel. Our beliefs create our thoughts.
Okay. So feelings create thoughts, thoughts create actions?
Well, do they?
I think so. I mean, I feel like we all act in like accordance to what the perception is, which your perception is, I imagine, based in like your thoughts and your memories and all this stuff. So I would think that we
They
would.
are, but that's beliefs. So think about, so here's the deal.
Okay.
We think an action, we want something, and then we think about how that feels.
Okay.
But if you are touching, pretend you have a hot stove in front of you.
Okay.
And you take your hand and you touch the stove.
Yes.
What happens first? Do you feel the pain?
First.
You feel it first and you pull back, right?
Okay. Before you even know you touched it.
That's scientifically inaccurate.
Really?
Yes. But you don't experience it that way. That's why it's so important to get clear and know the feelings. Because what actually happens when you touch a hot stove, your subconscious mind that is there to protect you, that has you breathe when you sleep, it doesn't know the difference between real and imagined, will pull your hand back before you ever feel the pain.
Huh.
Now it's split second and you don't experience it, but it's proven.
Wow.
That's why it's so very important, not only to get clear, but recognize and understand the emotions, because those emotions are what comes first.
Okay.
You might feel like, say you even just wake up in the morning and it's like, oh, it's cold outside. I want to stay under the blanket.
It is cold.
I don't want to get up.
No.
What?
It is.
No, and it's raining. Yeah. I don't want to do this. Oh my gosh. And you mean I have to call people and they're going to be mad at me? I don't want to do that. I know they're going to be mad at me. They probably won't even answer, right? So why do I want to do that? So I think I'm going to stay in bed. I'm going to hit the snooze. And then you get up an hour later, and now what's your day? You're behind your schedule. Now you're not more frustrated.
Right.
Right. And it all started with, I didn't want to get up because I was warm and comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you got to know what that feels like. If it feels like I don't want to is a focus. It's actually a place that we say words that we're focused on. So think what you want to do is really write down the things that you say like that. There are things you say habitually that you may not even realize.
Oh,
right?
Sure. Well, our friends know if we're saying it out loud because they can they always know what we're about to say, or people that you're close with.
Yeah. So think about something that you might say that you now know, because I know you've worked a lot on this because you're very clear and focused on where you're going. But I'm sure still things come up that.
Plenty of times, yeah. But one thing I know for sure is I always say that's hilarious.
So that's one of your skill sets, right? To change the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But just think when you or somebody you know that they say where you know it's like a direction that doesn't help them. That's like the beginning of the direction to stop them from moving forward. Can you think of anything?
Like if people are like, I'm not good at that.
Yeah, so you might be coaching somebody that says, well, I'm not good at that.
Right.
And that the reasons, the excuses, our point of view of something is the access to really discovering what we think we don't want, yet we're putting a lot of energy in it. Right. And what is the energy we're putting in it? The energy is, I don't want to do that. and we spend a lot of time thinking about it, and then we feel bad about not taking action, and then we're not good enough, and then, well, why should I do this anyway? It's never going to work for me. It's a, I call it a dwindling spiral.
It is.
A downward spiral.
Totally.
And yeah, and it's all started with a thought.
That's craziness. Okay, so know what you
that started with a.
And
I'm sorry.
And the thought, and it attached the feelings. I like that because, like in the example we used before about wanting to pay off the properties, I could picture myself like, yes, like I did it. It's like there's a sense of freedom, there's excitement, there's like, it's that, like you said, like you're attaching the feeling, and then also know what you don't want, and do you attach feelings to those as well?
Yes, because what I said was
run away from them.
Right. Well, and then I'm gonna, step 3 is now what do you do? Like,
Right.
if you know, what do you do? Because both of them have energy, both of them have direction. Okay. But what I said, it starts with a thought. And what I was going to say is, because that's how it feels.
Yeah.
But the feeling before the thought is what, when you hear the thought, that's what you want to write down. And then you want to look at what you feel behind that.
Oh,
because
right.
that's really what started the thought. But it feels like it's the thought.
Right.
So you have to get clear, you have to look at the thoughts, and then, and ask your friends. It's a great thing to conversation, because they will know. You're exactly right. Your friends see so much more about you than we see about us. Like you can tell me a lot more.
Like I'm not good at calling for sale by owners. You're saying like write that down and then be like, what is that thought? And it would be interesting, like if that's something that people say to themselves, like what do people say to themselves that say like I am good at calling for sale by owners? Like what makes them think that?
Right. And also, okay, so go back to I'm not good at that. Okay. So then you're thinking, well, I just feel like I'm all the excuses, all the reasons. There's all kinds of reasons they feel that way, right?
Whatever it is, they know what.
But then to identify the emotion, when somebody says that, how do they hold their shoulders? Slightly down.
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
How do they hold their head?
Probably.
Slightly their chin's down. They're closed in. And really, this isn't step 3, but it really helps you kind of discover the clarity of what's behind this. Is if you change your position, just move your shoulders back, move them around, change your head or stand up, it lightens the feeling immediately. So there was a feeling, an emotion that you may not have identified that was definitely there.
Right. That's crazy. So because I can imagine, like, if we're doing this and we're writing these things down, like, I imagine that, like, for me, I would probably just kind of stop at, like, the surface stuff, and I wouldn't, like, go more than that. So if I wanted to, like, reach out and get your help on this, like, what does that look like? How can we do that?
So I coach individuals all the time. It's a 12-week coaching program, and it dives deep. And like one of my clients yesterday.
That's a little too deep, 12 weeks. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want to go there.
Right? Right? It's a little bit too much, right? But one of my clients yesterday was so interesting, because when you start doing this, it's exactly what you said. It's like you don't go deep, or all of a sudden it's so easy to look at what you don't want. It's just it's so easy.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden, even though that person was doing all kinds of really great work and he was making huge strides, he felt like I'm doing something wrong. It's not working. And he couldn't even hear or see what was working, right? Like even he was just focused on what was not working, even though like there were 10 things he said that was great. All I could remember is the one that wasn't. Because that's what happens, because our brain wants to keep us stuck.
Yeah.
And like you said, people, your friends, your family, people that are close to you can see things.
Right.
And help you see things that are right in front of you that you can't see. Like if you've ever lost your keys.
We just have to listen. Huh?
If you've ever lost your keys, I've done this. You've done this for me. I can't find my keys. I don't know where I did put them. I will retrace they are not there. I put them in the kitchen. They're not in the kitchen. And you'll walk in the kitchen, walk right up to my keys that I walked past 3 times and said they weren't there.
Right. We've
And
all
then
done
they're
that.
there.
I think that's like a mom thing, right? Like we ask like, where's the scissors or whatever, and you're like, they're where they always were. And they're like, you just like go right to them. All moms have that ability to do that.
But it's learned from when we're really young. It's what you said. That's what's learned, is that if we don't know, we can just say we don't know, and we don't really know what else to do at that point, because we tell our brain. We
Right.
tell
Well,
our brain what we want.
Yeah, and if
we
you
don't
know,
know,
that's fine. We're
okay.
done. We're done.
Your brain says, okay, we don't know. It puts in a lot of data. So it distinguishes what data. It's like going through an intersection. You will see 4 people walking through an intersection will see 4 different things.
Right.
And or a car accident, or we were driving through an intersection, and I looked at gas station signs, and my friend looked at the name on a building, and somebody else saw a person that had the sign up, that was holding the sign, and no, I didn't see the person that was holding the sign. I would tell you that person wasn't there. But the person was, right?
Yeah.
We have our point of view. So,
well, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so distinguishing that is like taking blinders off, and it doesn't go back, because it transforms how you think. It's not like change.
Right.
You can't go back. Once you see it, then you get to choose. It won't magically disappear again.
Yeah.
It's like taking the blinders off.
And now you have to be responsible for it, is the problem.
Well, you get to choose. You don't have to be responsible, but you get a choice. So it's so powerful, because otherwise it feels like you didn't. One of the things about the negative is that it feels like you have no say. It feels bad. Like you have no choice. It's just not going to be. And when blinders come off and transform, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, I get some choices here. This could be fun. Okay. Well, I might not want to do it, but I'm going to choose not to do it.
Right, exactly.
Because then I get to choose something I want to do that'll be fun.
Right. All right. So we're talking about, it's a 12-week program. Does it?
They can call me and we can talk about it. I do a 30-minute call for free. They'll get value out of that call. I guarantee, whether they choose to work with me or not. It's all about helping people and giving value so they can get everything they want in your life. That's what I want for everybody. Get everything you want. It's so much more fun.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So my number is 859-992-4361. My email is super easy, Becky@regainthebrain.com.
Perfect.
Regain your brain.
I appreciate you being on again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. And we hinted at number 3, so we might have to come back and do that, right?
Oh, we're definitely coming back. And I'll be coming to Florida for that one, so I don't have to stay here in cold Ohio.
Perfect. That sounds great. All right.
Bye,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.